Hey, what's going on there, YouTube? We are back here with another video of Eli, the computer guy. This guy's very smart. Now, real quick, like I said before, he was a Biden voter. He's not into politics. He kind of just watched TV and was like, yeah, Biden sucks, Trump sucks. I don't know. He just, I guess, flipped a coin or something. But he really does hate people who are racist because he lived in Baltimore his whole life. And basically he's saying that Democrats have been more racist in his life via their policies and like actual things they do than anything else. And he's going to break down his lifetime of computer expert perspective on what's going on right now. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. And I'll put the original video in the link.
So when Apple and all these companies then start moving these jobs that could be unionized over to other countries, and then what you start to see is it's not like they're moving them to other countries, and then people in those countries are getting good middle class lifestyles. It just happens to be a lot less expensive to have a middle class lifestyle over there than it is here. But what you see is when they move these factories over to other countries, and it's going from labor, unionized employees in the United States to essentially slave labor in third world countries, that's when things get really horrifying and really just absolutely horrible. And this is where I get really frustrated with the Democrats and the progressives and all that, where they talk about how the deindustrialization of the United States is just absolute must. This is not something that you can even question anymore. And basically, an important thing to understand here is when you hear the Democratic politicians and you hear the progressives saying that the deindustrialization of the United States is just a fait accompli, it's something that has to be done, what they're literally arguing for is slave labor. What they're literally stating is that for the United States to maintain its place in the world, we need to have slave labor. De facto slave labor. Again, actually worse than slave labor. I'm not even joking. Again, I've been to India. I spent 4 months in India. I love India, and I love some things about India. But anyways, going to India, $7 a month isn't going to get you by in India. Maybe $30 a month. Maybe you can get by for $30 a month. But $7 a month in India isn't going to get you by. Like, even if you had slaves in India, like actual slaves, it would cost you more than $7 a month to upkeep slaves in India. And so when you think that Apple is now using a workforce in India where they are not even getting the standards of compensation that will be expected for actual slaves, and then you see that this is the mentality getting pushed by, oddly enough, by like the progressives and the Democrats, that's where things get very, 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 very frustrating. Right? We can't bring back the good manufacturing jobs to the United States because, don't you understand, the only way we can maintain where we're at in the world is by using slaves in these other countries. At the exact same time, everybody's screaming about Black Lives Matter, but not Indian lives, at all. So anyways, some things to be thinking about. The government is cracking down. The government in India is going to be cracking down on the labor rights activists. Tim Cook seems to be sort of supporting this. Again, loud and proud, gay CEO in the United States seems to be tacitly supporting whatever horrors are going to happen to those labor rights activists in India. And it'll just keep trucking along. And who's going to scream about this? Who's going to scream about this? Nobody. Because nobody gives a shit about Indians. Come on now, they're Indians. They smell like curry. Oh, it just makes me frustrated. And that's, like I say, that's where, like, as an American, like, again, if we lose jobs, because middle class lifestyles in other countries are less expensive, that makes sense. If we lose jobs because the education systems in other countries are better, so you actually get a better quality of employee, that makes sense. If we lose jobs because the infrastructure, again, you look at like China, how they built their infrastructure theoretically is so much more efficient over there. It's more efficient to build factories, right? That makes sense, right? That's okay. But when you really see that so much of the manufacturing, so much of the jobs that we're losing is because these companies are using slave labor, slaves. Less than slaves. And then at the exact same time, they want to pat themselves on the back for social justice. That's just a horrifying thing.